Hello, welcome to the channel. How you doing? Me and Jasper. How's it going? So this is an interesting one. The Mandalorian executive producer Dave Filoni reveals he is open to changing Star Wars continuity and canon. Be interesting to see which side of the fence you sit on with respect to this, but also what side of the fence he sits on with respect to all of this as well. Now, this article is linked down below. Before we dive into this, I am it's the festive time of year, ladies and gents, which means I release them once a year. Here is my Xenomorph sweatshirt. It is the Christmas Ugly Sweater Xenomorph edition. They are one-of-a-kind design, designed for me, for you, by my graphic designer. So grab one whilst you can. They are available for a very limited time. You'll find them linked down below, as well as underneath the video in the Teespring store. Anyway, also, I've just made a film. I am still crowdfunding for it. These things are very expensive. So you can find the GoFundMe link down below. There is a plot synopsis, a pitch, and it's a Lovecraft psychological horror film. So check it out if you want. If not, don't worry about it. No hard feelings, guys. No hard feelings. So this is interesting because we this is interesting for many reasons. We had recently that the Mandalorian had semi-retconned some information that was then in The Rise of Skywalker, right? They had retconned the idea that the Death Star had blew up into chunks. The Mandalorian had. And now we get this. But I don't think it's where you're thinking it's going to go, basically. I don't think this is... It's ambiguous news at this point in time. Dave Filoni is good, and he has been good with Star Wars recently. But he may look to change stuff for the worse. You just don't know. Always good to have a healthy air of skepticism. So the Mandalorian executive producer Dave Filoni recently revealed that he's open to changing Star Wars continuity and canon. Now, do you agree that that's good or bad? Do you think you should change continuity and canon? But also, what's he referencing? You know, when he says that, is he referencing EU? Is he referencing established canon? Is he referencing the original trilogy, the prequels, the sequels? What is he referencing? That's the issue. I do think you're going to struggle to get people on your side if you start, messing about with the original trilogy. Personally, now Filoni recently opened up about the Mandalorian in a lengthy interview with Vanity Fair, where he discussed Chapter 13, The Jedi, which had Rosario. I said that before, and people were like, "Oh, you're saying Rosemary?" No, Rosario. I know some people pronounce it Rosario. So tomato. Sure. But anyway, so first Filoni was asked about Rosario. I'm just going to flip-flop between it each time I have to say it. Transformation into a live-action version of Ahsoka Tano. I actually quite like this, to be fair. These were too short, though, and they did have weird crinkles in, which looked like they were made out of Play-Doh. Or they looked almost like pastry or dough, They had a bit of flour on. But anyway, so I quite like the design choice. I thought it was good. I thought out of it all, it could have been majorly balls, but it turned out pretty decent. Now, Filoni was asked, what else had to happen as part of the transformation into Ahsoka? And he responded, I said, well, Ahsoka's eyes are blue and yours are not, but I don't want you to worry about it. If you don't want to go for that, we can just say that in this version, they're not. Interesting. So, fortunately, Rosario Dawson put that suggestion to bed, as Filoni detailed, and Rosario insisted. She's like, no, let me try it. Interesting how flippantly he just tosses things to one side. Not only did Filoni reveal that he's not interested in keeping character designs the same across different mediums, between animated versions and live-action versions of Ahsoka Tano, but he also revealed that there is a possibility that the continuity between The Mandalorian and Star Wars Rebels might not be as linear as many would have thought. Now, I'm going to say this. Maybe it's because people's fan theories about what's going to happen in The Mandalorian are correct. He might just be playing everyone, but I don't know. So Filoni was asked, the last time fans saw Ahsoka was this spring's finale of The Clone Wars. But in the actual Star Wars chronology, the last time we saw her was at the end of Rebels, venturing off with Sabine Wren to find Ezra Bridger, who vanished along with Thrawn. Where does that scene fit in with where we find her in The Mandalorian? Which, props to Vanity Fair. That's a bloody good question, right? And he said, right, but no, it's an interesting one. That's not necessarily chronological. I think the thing that people will most not understand is they want to go in a linear fashion. But as I learned as a kid, nothing in Star Wars really works in a linear fashion. What are you Are you high? What are you on about? What? Anyway, he continues. You do episode 4, 5 and 6 and then 1, 2 and 3. So in the vein of that, oh my god, yes, but we still knew the history. We still know what. Oh my god, what are you on about, you dipshit? How can you reference 4, 5 and 6 and then 1, 2 and 3? We knew their place in the timeline, you pleb. So he goes, so in the vein of that history, when you look at the epilogue of Rebels, you don't really know how much time has passed. Oh my god. So it's possible that the story I'm telling in Mandalorian actually takes place prior to that. Possible. I'm saying it's no, it's not really, is it? While Filoni makes it clear he's not making a definitive statement, as he uses the word possible 3 times, it appears to be implying that he's definitely open to making changes to previously implied events. Basically, he's just flip-flopping around on his own stories, which is just super lame. Now, in that final episode of Star Wars Rebels that Filoni was asked about, the Mandalorian Sabine Wren provides a monologue that references the liberation of Lothal, which took place in the same year as the Battle of Yavin, so we do know when it took place. However, Wren makes it clear her monologue takes place after the Battle of Endor and the events of the Return of the Jedi, which is about 5 years after the Battle of Yavin. So we know when it takes place then. They literally narrow it down. So it's not in the vein of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is it? The attack we all anticipated never came. The once invincible empire had begun to fracture. The small rebellion had become bold, and with a decisive victory at the Battle of Endor, the Emperor's reign of terror came to an end. After the war, Zeb took Kallus along the secret hyperspace path to the planet Lyrasan. It was then that Kallus realised he hadn't destroyed the Lasat people, and that they were thriving on this new world. A world where he was welcome as one of them. Hera fought in the Battle of Endor, as did Commander Rex. By that time, there had been a new member added to the crew of the Ghost, Spectre 7, Jason Sindela, born to fly just like his mother, and, well, we all know what his father was like. As for me, I used to think that Ezra was counting on me to protect Lothal, the planet, and the people he cared for so much. But one day I realised that there was more to it. There was something else I was meant to do. Ezra's out there somewhere, and it's time to bring him home. So the implication of the clip at the time was that Ahsoka came to get Sabine following the Battle of Endor to seek out Ezra. However, given Filoni's recent comments, it's now possible that the events in The Mandalorian took place before the epilogue of the Star Wars Rebels. Basically, they're talking crap, they're just making crap up. It just sounds like nonsense, doesn't it? So this could mean that it's possible Ahsoka didn't seek out Sabine until after her first encounter with the Child of the Watch. But then, surely, she would have the Darksaber? No, she wouldn't have the Darksaber. But then, but these events that we've seen, if they're prior to that end, then Bo-Katan would probably have the Darksaber by now, because this is prior to those events. So in those events, she would... Do you see how this starts to mess it all up? Idiots. If this does end up being the case, it fits with Bob Iger's plan to spin off shows. This sounds lame, I think. Not a fan of this. Iger stated that basically they're just doing lots of spin-offs, which you're fine, who cares? And this is what I talked about, the weird little dough pastry flour thing. I think this is a bit crap, to be honest. I'm not happy about this. I think this is super lame. So we also addressed rumours and the possibility of more live-action Star Wars Rebels characters back in May. And this was Iger, basically, talking about Grand Admiral Thrawn and stuff like that. So Filoni hinted that Sabine Wren's story involving the Darksaber might be on the table. Oh, I think it's possible. I mean, it's definitely something that I left hanging at the end. And part of that reason is just, it's always nice in my mind when there's another story. Yeah, no, not a fan. I think that this needless confusion, but I don't know whether it's also because people are right in their fan theories and he just wants to cover their tracks. If it's not, then he's just being obtuse for no reason. I just think he's being a bit pointless. So let me know your thoughts though down below in the comments. Retconning stuff, fun, I guess. Love to hear your thoughts. Just don't do it. Don't tarnish the Mandalorian. People really like it. You're going to irritate people, and then people will quickly turn on you. Don't lose all that goodwill that you've managed to sort of, coerce out of people. Don't lose it. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Thanks so much. Take care.